In this program, we have a slightly more complex scenario, again, using a decision statement, using if-else construct. But in this case, we're going to have multiple avenues of execution. So this is going to be a university tuition calculator, okay? And here we have the business rules. Every business has certain rules. In this case, the tuition numbers are established as part of the business rules. So undergrads will pay $200 per credit hour, graduate students will pay $300 per credit hour, and then doctoral candidates $400 per credit hour. So what I've done here is I've created some const variables, some float values to represent the tuition values for each of those three types of students. So I just get those in place at the top of the program, then I don't have to worry about them again. If the tuition goes up next semester, I just have to change them up here. I don't have to go picking through the program and looking for all those numbers and changing them. Okay, and then I'm creating some other variables that I'll be using, the student type, which is going to be entered by the user, and the number of credit hours that the student is taking, and then finally the tuition bill, the total bill that they're going to pay. So I'm going to display like some choices for the user. I'm going to prompt the user to enter the student type, U for undergraduate, G for graduate, and so on, and that will be absorbed with CIN into the student type variable. Notice that this is a char type. The student type is a char. I skipped over this. A character variable. You know, you don't really have to initialize your variables. I tend to do that out of habit, and you can initialize a character to, this is what we call the null escape sequence. So that's one way to initialize a character. And obviously the numeric types I've just initialized to zeros. Okay, so in any case, the user is going to enter a U, a G, or a D, and that'll be put in the student type. The user will enter the number of credit hours, which is going into the credit hours variable. Okay, so now we're ready to make a decision. What's the decision? How much is this student going to pay for tuition? It depends on the type. Undergraduate's $200. So notice the way I'm just diving in. I'm constructing my relational expression here. Look at the double equal sign. Again, these are character values, so they have to go in single quotes. That's another thing that you'll have to get used to. So if the student type is little u for undergraduate, then the tuition bill is going to be the credit hours times the undergrad amount. And then so on down the line. Or else, look at this else if construct that was not in the last program. We have multiple avenues of execution. It's not like the nightclub where it was one way or the other, two possibilities. This is multiple possibilities, so we're using the else if construct. Or else if, it's almost like plain English, or else if the student type is G for graduate, then the tuition bill is going to be this. Or else if the student type is D for doctoral, then the tuition bill is going to be this other thing. I'm just using those consts that I declared up at the top of the program to compute the tuition bill. I did put an else clause at the, sometimes you can put like a trailing else. It's like it becomes a default. Let's say the user enters the wrong thing. Maybe they don't enter a U or a G or a D. Maybe they slip and enter something nonsensical. Then this else clause is going to execute and say invalid student type. Okay, and then finally I'll just display the prompt for the tuition balance. Okay, just a couple of quick things here. This is case sensitive. So let's say the user has a caps lock key on, they enter capital U. This is going to evaluate to false because the computer doesn't know that we mean the same thing. They're two completely different characters, capital U and small u. So what you could do, and we'll look at other ways around this, but you could cover all corners. This is the logical OR operator, two pipes. The pipe character is right above your enter key. So you could cover all bases like this, Again, double equal sign there. So now I'll get the capital U in there. You can do that for the other two as well. Okay, I'll only do this one. You get the idea. Oops. Okay, so those are two pipes for the logical OR. Okay, we'll be using that. So, and then one more quick thing. When you're doing these decision statements, a good tip is to always put the most likely scenario at the top and the least likely at the bottom, because what happens is when the program is running, it's looking for a true. And if it gets that true right off the bat, it's going to execute that layer of the sandwich, so to speak, or that clause, and then it skips the rest. Okay, once it finds a true, it executes that layer, and then it's out of here. It goes on to the rest of the program, in this case, this line of code. So if you have a really long, complex if, else, if, else, if, else, if, else, if, many, many possibilities, and that most likely option is up at the top, it finds the true right away, and then it skips all those other ones. And, you know, if the most likely option is near the bottom, it's going to unnecessarily visit all of these conditions. Every time it executes a condition, evaluates a condition, a little bit of processor speed is taken. So you want to find the true as soon as possible and then get out of there, like as far as, you know, program efficiency. So in that, like in this case, it's a university, and most universities, the vast majority of their student body are undergraduate students. So that's why I put the undergraduate up at the top. And then, you know, as you get higher up in the academic chain, you have fewer and fewer students willing to go that far in their studies. So that's why the doctoral candidates are at the bottom. So in any case, there you have it. We'll look at more scenarios in later videos.